In this section, let us have a look at other issues which can be tackled so that your oxygen consumption goes down and you are successfully implementing the oxygen weaning protocol. Now, one of the foremost suggestions that I would give over here is have a concept of floor briefings. There has to be someone who has to go and conduct regular floor briefings on your hospital floor and make everyone aware that oxygen is precious. It is much needed thing in the COVID and it needs to be conserved. The second good concept that has come is use of a oxygen nurse. The job of this oxygen nurse, fixed responsibility. Her job is to go around and ensure that the patients are only given at the right LPM delivery. Go inspect, check what others have been following. If they are not following the protocol properly at a certain patient, correct it. The oxygen goes waste in lunch times. I have seen oxygen wards where patients are having lunch and all the masks are on and the oxygen is flowing. We should educate everyone at the floor, the patient, to make and ensure that the oxygen weaning protocol implementation is a success and that we should close the knob whenever the patient is not putting the mask and inhaling the oxygen. Now it might be having lunch, dinner, food, liquids and going out for nature's call, attending nature's call, going to the washroom. And obviously there are some precautions to be taken in this area. If somebody is going for the bathroom and if he is having the saturations less and you are removing his mask, ensure that he has company. We have had a lot of cases of hypoxia, bathroom hypoxia. We call it bathroom hypoxia, where patient collapses into the bathroom because of lack of oxygen. There is a sudden fatigue that he has. There is no mask. There is no additional supply of oxygen. Another way is put signages. There is no way a patient is supposed to touch the oxygen knob. He is not supposed to set the oxygen settings. A lot of patients think that if they increase the oxygen knob and their saturation becomes 98, they are going to immediately be cured and they are going to walk out of the hospital. See that this notion is addressed and a huge responsibility here on the head nurse of the hospital to see that this doesn't happen. Prepare charts every 2 hours, monitor the oxygen, reduce the LPM. If the saturation is going high, increase the LPM. If the saturation is going low, have an oxygen nurse, put signages, make the patient aware that oxygen is precious and is not supposed to touch any of the settings. Shut off oxygen in your lunch time, your dinner time when the patient is not using the oxygen. Also, in this oxygen weaning protocol, there is a lot of importance of correct pressure settings. If you increase too much of the pressure, if your pressure regulatory valve fails, there has been instances where there is a bursting of the humidifier bottles that takes place. So put the LPM deliveries properly. Sometimes when the LPM is 0, still there is a leakage of oxygen. Close your knobs properly. Check your humidifier bottles for proper kind of quality before putting them into the operation in the O2 beds. These are the very, very important precautions to be taken so that oxygen weaning is understood by everyone. It impacts your cost also. There are floor briefings. Your biomedical engineers are oriented over the pressures and your staff is oriented towards conserving oxygen, which is a precious national resource in this COVID times. So here again, there is an important step of displaying your oxygen protocol besides the signages of do not touch the oxygen settings at every patient's bedside. These signages should clearly explain the oxygen weaning protocol. In the ventilator section, in the HDU section, ICU section, there is a bigger role of PO2 measurement. And all your oxygen weaning protocol should be properly displayed at all points. And there is a concept, if your patient is crossing 9-day 10th day, 11th day. There is a very high probability that his oxygen requirements are going to go down. So such patients should be monitored who are in the O2 section. Also, if it is possible, create a separate step down facility where the staff is oriented towards stepping down a patient, and this is possible in a large setup. A large multi-bedded setup should have a separate step down facility where the oxygen consumption per point is very much low and the staff is oriented towards stepping down when the patient is in the recovery phase. This is an important portion of the oxygen weaning protocol in the larger hospitals and the sections. Now it is important that once you have stepped down the LPM of the patient, you have to go back and monitor his SpO2 again after 10 minutes to see that he is in the stable range. This is of the paramount importance. So if you have stepped down of a patient, you have gone ahead, maybe 2 beds, 3 beds, please come back. Check out his SpO2. This is mandatory. And then see if the patient is stabilized. If he is stabilized, then definitely you can continue with the lower settings of the LPM. Do not drastically cut down the LPM. Go stepwise. Go 2 LPM, 1 LPM, 3 LPM at a time as per the patient's saturation. You should not drastically cut down the LPM of a patient even if his saturation has gone to 96, 97. You have to reduce it by taking the judgment, and it is not advisable to have a drastic reduction in the LPM in the oxygen weaning protocol.